and welcome to Reviewing with an Advantage. This episode, we're going to be reviewing Fragged Empire. Fragged Empire is a post-apocalyptic science fiction game created by Wade Dyer. The first thing to appear in the book after the table of contents is an explanation of how the game got its name and the themes of the game. I think that more books should do this, as I've only seen it in Fragged Empire and Burning Wheel, and I think that it adds a lot to the book and puts us all on the same page, expectation-wise. After that, you can find a hex map of the Habrixis sector, the default setting for Fragged Empire. I think that hex maps are pretty cool. They're a nod to old school science fiction games like Traveller, and I think it's a pretty good addition to the game. Right after this, you get two short stories of evocative fiction. One that details a sample crew, and one that outlines the history of the setting in detail. Speaking of the setting, it's actually very well done. Humanity has died out of genetic deterioration, and has genetically engineered its heirs, the Archons. The Archons, in turn, genetically engineered hundreds of other races in search for a perfect race. They created the Zion, X-I-O-N, in pursuit of the perfect race. For a short while, the Zion were dubbed the perfect race. However, that title was soon taken away from them to much ire. So much ire, in fact, that they decided to declare war against their creators, the Archons. After an initial assault, only one Zion survived and fled to the far reaches of space. That same Zion returned later with legions of genetically engineered troops called Nephilim, one of the playable races of the game. The Nephilim come in various forms, but all share a genetic ancestry, and they're all very hostile and calculated in their demeanor. So Zion won the war against the Archons, eliminating them and hundreds of their creations completely from the face of the galaxy. What he did after winning is disappear. Nobody knows where he, she, or it went, or what it's doing right now. It has left its creations, the Nephilim, to fend for themselves against the survivors of the Archons' creations. And that brings us to the next section, races. There are 4 playable races in the core book. The Corporation, the Kaltorans, the Legion, and the Nephilim. Corporation are the most human-like in their appearance, and probably their behavior as well. They're materialistic, capitalistic, and selfish. They look very humanoid, except they have yellow patterned skin on their necks and heads. The book recommends playing Corporation if you want to play a more social character who's adept at convincing and haggling. The next race are the Kaltorans. The Kaltorans have a genetic memory. That means that they inherit the memories of their parents and grandparents and so on and so on. After the war, the Kaltorans descended into savagery and cannibalism, what they dub as the Dark Times. All the Kaltorans share an overly optimistic worldview in order to overcome their own memories of what their ancestors did during the Dark Times. Other than that, they have 4 elf-like ears, and it's recommended you play a Kaltoran if you value camaraderie and friendship, and want to play a more adaptable and flexible character. The third race are Legion. The Legion were engineered by the Archons hastily in order to combat the Nephilim and Zion. They were created with only warfare in mind, and have a very difficult time adjusting to life in peace. In fact, most of them rent themselves out as mercenaries. They're big, hulking brutes that are well served in Arctic climes. The book recommends playing a Legion if you want to play a mercenary, a soldier, a space warrior, and so on and so forth. The fourth and final race are the Nephilim. As a short anecdote, Nephilim in Hebrew mythology are giants, fallen angels who have fallen to earth. The Nephilim are divided into 3 types. The purebloods who served in the war, the hybrids which are their very descendants, and the emissaries which were genetically engineered to mingle with the other races. Play a Nephilim, according to the book, if you enjoy science, a logical approach, a blunt character. The rule system for Fragged Empire is very simple and elegant at its core. Whenever you want to perform an action, you roll 3d6, that's 3 6-sided dice, add the result, add your skill and description and tool bonus, and then you have to pass a difficulty number. I won't be going more in depth into rules or character creation because the Fragged Empire YouTube channel, which I'll link at the end of this video, has many videos with examples of character creation, various forms of combat and skill use, and basically anything that can come up in the rules of play. I will say that character creation is pretty simple and pretty fun, with a multitude of options open before you. What the rules manage to do very well is an elaborate loot and equipment system. You have rules for looting your enemies, for selling stolen goods, for transporting cargo in ships, and many other options involving material wealth. Basically, you have your resources, influence, and spare time. You can invest your resources and influence, but not spend them throughout your various holdings. These allow you to maintain your lifestyle and possessions. Spare time, however, is gained and then spent on various items. Combat in the game is very tactical and uses a miniature system with a lot of rules and flowcharts describing the various actions. However, there are pretty good theater of mind rules also provided, both for combat and for spaceship combat, so it's not too bad for those who don't like tactical combat. After the combat rules come in-depth spacecraft rules, both for creating your own spacecraft, looting and adjusting spacecrafts, and spacecraft combat. These are also very comprehensive and give you a very Firefly Serenity-like feel. So much, in fact, that the spacecraft is like a whole other character with its own separate character sheet and attributes. Afterwards come in-depth and extensive write-ups for each race. These are very good reads, especially if you're going to play a certain race. Following the in-depth race write-up comes a write-up on the Habrixa sector and the places of interests in it. This is also fairly extensive and leaves you with many locations to play in. Finally, we have the GM's chapter. This chapter starts with fairly good advice for running any type of game in general, then follows with specific combat advice for how to balance combat, how to create custom foes, and how to use combat in an interesting and fun way. After the combat advice, you have 4 one-page adventure ideas which are short and to the point and give you a feel for the potential of the setting. Then we get 23 pages of bestiary that's full of opponents, monsters, and a bit of fluff information like drugs. That's more than enough for anyone to start running a game, especially with the guidelines to creating your own foes presented in the previous chapter. So in conclusion, the good about Fragged Empire: it has great layout and organization, everything is easy to find and understand. It has awesome artwork throughout the book and also awesome fiction strewn throughout the book and not only in the beginning. The basic rules are very simple, and you can modularly add or remove the other rules as you deem necessary. In addition, the setting itself is very thoroughly thought out, and still leaves you enough room to homebrew whatever kinds of adventure and setting you want. The neutral about Fragged Empire: a lot of the book is devoted to the tactical combat part, both spaceship and interpersonal. Some people like this, some people don't, so it's under neutral. I personally prefer Theater of the Mind play, and I'm very grateful that they added Theater of the Mind play to the book. In addition, there is an elaborate loot system. Some people prefer this, some people prefer a more abstract form of wealth and acquiring resources. The bad about Fragged Empire is that the rules altogether are very complicated. My personal suggestion would be to start with only the basic rules and slowly add layers of rules throughout sessions. So final thoughts. I would recommend Fragged Empire to anyone who likes sci-fi, to anyone who likes tactical combat, or anyone who wants to see an elaborate loot system done well. In addition, I think that it's a pretty good game overall, so if you're considering buying a new game and want to go sci-fi, check out Fragged Empire. That's it for this time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.